A tumultuous beginning, Hitler's formative years. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889 in Braunau am Inn, Austria-Hungary. His early life was marked by family conflicts. Hitler clashed with his strict father but adored his mother. He was a mediocre student who eventually dropped out of high school. Twice, he was rejected by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. This rejection fueled his resentment and shaped his worldview. In Vienna, Hitler encountered a melting pot of cultures and ideologies. He developed a deep hatred for Jews whom he blamed for societal problems. He embraced German nationalism and adopted anti-Marxist views. These formative experiences laid the foundation for his future political ideology. Hitler's early life was a period of instability and disillusionment. He drifted from job to job, struggling to find his place in the world. The death of his mother in 1907 left him devastated. Hitler's early experiences instilled in him a sense of grievance and a desire for radical change. By the outbreak of World War I, Hitler had developed a strong sense of German nationalism. He saw the war as an opportunity to prove himself and to advance the cause of German greatness. Hitler's early life had a profound impact on his personality and beliefs, setting the stage for his meteoric rise to power. The crucible of World War I and its profound impact. World War I was a turning point in Hitler's life. He volunteered for the German army, eager to fight for his adopted country. Hitler served as a dispatch runner, experiencing the horrors of trench warfare firsthand. He was awarded the Iron Cross for bravery, an honor he cherished deeply. The war's end in 1918 left Hitler deeply disillusioned. He considered Germany's defeat a national humiliation. The Treaty of Versailles, which imposed harsh penalties on Germany, fueled his resentment. Hitler, like many Germans, believed that Germany had been betrayed by its own leaders. The post-war period was a time of political and economic turmoil in Germany. The country was plagued by unemployment, inflation, and social unrest. These conditions created a fertile ground for extremist ideologies. Hitler, with his growing hatred of Jews and his talent for oratory, was poised to exploit this volatile situation. In 1919, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, a small right-wing group. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the party's leader in 1921. Under Hitler's leadership, the German Workers' Party was renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party. Seeds of extremism. The birth of the Nazi Party. The Nazi Party, under Hitler's leadership, espoused a toxic blend of nationalism, anti-Semitism, and anti-communism. Hitler's ideology, outlined in his book Mein Kampf, My Struggle, called for the restoration of German greatness through territorial expansion and the creation of a racially pure Aryan state. Hitler's message resonated with many Germans who felt humiliated by the country's defeat in World War I and the subsequent economic crisis. The Nazis promised to restore order, revive the economy, and rebuild German pride. Hitler's charisma and powerful speeches drew large crowds. The Nazi Party grew rapidly, attracting disaffected veterans, unemployed workers, and members of the middle class. Hitler skillfully exploited the anxieties and grievances of the German people, channeling their frustration into support for his extremist movement. The Nazis also employed violence and intimidation against their opponents. The Sturmabteilung, the party's paramilitary wing, terrorized political rivals and disrupted their meetings. The Sturmabteilung's brutality created a climate of fear and silenced opposition to the Nazis. A master of manipulation. Hitler's rise to power was a combination of political maneuvering, propaganda, and intimidation. He exploited the weaknesses of the Weimar Republic, Germany's fragile democracy, to undermine the government and advance his own agenda. The Nazis gained seats in the Reichstag, the German parliament, through a combination of popular support and electoral alliances. Hitler used his platform to denounce the government and promote his own nationalist and anti-Semitic agenda. His speeches were broadcast on the radio, reaching a mass audience. The Great Depression, which hit Germany particularly hard, played into Hitler's hands. The economic crisis led to political instability and increased support for extremist parties like the Nazis. In 1932, the Nazi Party became the largest party in the Reichstag. In January 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg, under pressure from conservative politicians who believed they could control Hitler, appointed him Chancellor of Germany. This fateful decision paved the way for Hitler's dictatorship and the horrors that followed. Section 5. The Grip of Tyranny, Nazi Germany, and the Consolidation of Power. Once in power, Hitler moved swiftly to consolidate his control and eliminate opposition. The Reichstag fire, a suspicious blaze that destroyed the parliament building, was used as a pretext to suspend civil liberties and arrest political opponents. The Enabling Act, passed by the Reichstag in March 1933, granted Hitler dictatorial powers. With this law, Hitler was able to bypass the constitution and rule by decree. The Nazi Party became the only legal party in Germany. Hitler systematically dismantled the institutions of democracy, replacing them with a totalitarian state. The press was censored, trade unions were abolished, and the judiciary was brought under Nazi control. Hitler's regime ruthlessly suppressed all forms of dissent. The Nazi state permeated all aspects of German society. Propaganda disseminated through schools, newspapers, radio and film glorified Hitler and the Nazi Party. Children were indoctrinated with Nazi ideology from a young age. Section 6. A continent engulfed. The outbreak of World War II. Hitler's foreign policy was driven by his ambition to expand German territory and create a vast empire in Eastern Europe. He believed that Germany, as a superior nation, had the right to Lebensraum, or living space, at the expense of other peoples. In 1938, Hitler annexed Austria, his birthplace, into the Third Reich in what became known as the Anschluss. This bloodless takeover was met with jubilation by many Austrians, but it sent shockwaves through Europe. Hitler then set his sights on Czechoslovakia, demanding the annexation of the Sudetenland, a region with a large German population. The Munich Agreement, signed by Germany, Britain, France and Italy, ceded the Sudetenland to Germany in a failed attempt to appease Hitler and avoid war. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. Britain and France declared war on Germany 2 days later. Hitler's gamble for European domination had plunged the world into another devastating conflict. Section 7. The Depths of Despair, the Holocaust. The Holocaust, the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews during World War II, stands as a chilling testament to the horrors of Nazi ideology and the consequences of unchecked hatred. It was a crime of unprecedented scale and barbarity. Driven by anti-Semitism, Hitler and the Nazi regime implemented a plan to exterminate the Jews of Europe. Jews were subjected to persecution, violence, and ultimately mass murder. They were stripped of their rights, their property, and their humanity. Jews were forced into ghettos, overcrowded and unsanitary urban districts, where many died from starvation, disease, and exposure. Others were deported to concentration camps, where they were subjected to forced labor, torture, and extermination. The Nazis established extermination camps, such as Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, and Sobibor, specifically for the purpose of mass murder. Jews were transported to these camps in cattle cars, gassed upon arrival, and their bodies burned in crematoria. Section 8. The Final Days, Hitler's Downfall, and the End of the War. As the war progressed, Germany's military fortunes declined. The tide turned against Hitler's forces on the Eastern Front after the Battle of Stalingrad, a costly defeat that shattered the myth of German invincibility. The Allied invasion of Normandy on June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, opened up a second front in Western Europe, further stretching German resources. As Allied forces closed in on Berlin, Hitler's grip on power began to slip away. Hitler, isolated in his underground bunker in Berlin, refused to accept defeat. He issued increasingly delusional orders to his commanders, convinced that Germany could still achieve victory. But the reality was that the Third Reich was crumbling around him. On April 30, 1945, with Soviet troops just blocks away from his bunker, Hitler committed suicide, along with his wife, Eva Braun. His death marked the end of the Nazi regime and the beginning of Germany's long road to recovery and reconciliation. Section 9. A Legacy of Infamy, Hitler's Impact on History. Adolf Hitler's legacy is one of unparalleled destruction, human suffering, and genocide. His name is synonymous with the horrors of World War II and the Holocaust, events that continue to haunt the world today. Hitler's rise to power serves as a stark warning about the dangers of nationalism, extremism, and the manipulation of fear and resentment. His regime demonstrated the fragility of democracy and the importance of safeguarding human rights and the rule of law. The Holocaust in particular stands as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked hatred and prejudice. It is a testament to the importance of tolerance, understanding, and the need to confront bigotry and discrimination in all its forms. Hitler's legacy is a complex and troubling one. It is a reminder of the darkest chapters of human history and the need to learn from the past to prevent such atrocities from happening again. The world must never forget the victims of Nazi tyranny and must remain vigilant against the resurgence of such evil.